everybody, it's Kai. Welcome back to my channel and welcome to another speed build video. And I'm really excited for you guys to join me here today because today we are going to be building a heavily decorated floral Victorian home in the world of Willow Creek, and it is the world that came with the base game. And we are building on this lot known as the Park Shore lot. And the Park Shore lot is basically next to the Goth family home, where you can see on the left side of the screen. And I chose this lot because it is quite spacious. Even though the main house that we are building is quite small, I chose the larger lot because I wanted to include a lot of landscaping. And initially I wanted to build a base game only Victorian home or a starter Victorian home, but I didn't end up doing so because I wanted to try something new, in a sense that I wanted to include more landscaping in this build. So I did that, and I think the outcome is really nice. But do let me know what you guys think in the comments, of course, if you like it or not. But for this build, I actually fully referred to Pinterest because in this country where I live in, there are no Victorian homes. I'm not sure if they have any, but from what I've seen daily, there aren't any. So I decided to refer to Pinterest for this because I didn't know what the elements of a Victorian home is. I mean, I roughly know, but not in full detail, as in the color swatch and also the interior. Anyways, you can see that the structure already came together pretty quick, and I sorted out the floor plan. I think it took me quite some time because I wanted to place the stairs in a different section of the house, because usually when I build homes, I usually place these stairs right in front of the main entrance, in which it is kind of this hallway, the main hallway entrance. But for this build, I decided to switch things up and just place the stairs elsewhere, where it is far away from the main door or main entrance of the build. But anyways, for the roofing, you can see that I already started off with the roofing, and the roofing was quite simple to do because I roughly knew what I was working on, and I referred to Pinterest, of course, so it was quite easy for me to do the roofing as well. But for the color scheme of this build, I ended up using quite a simple color scheme because I wanted to make it simple as well. So I used the exact color scheme of the picture that I referred to, which is kind of this paneled wall, and also paired it up with this brick swatch wallpaper. And I think it is the same color swatch that I use, or color scheme that I use, for the large family home that I built, I think last week by the time this video is up, because it is quite simple and also just looks really nice because it's simple. But this build is already up in the gallery. If you want to download it, you just have to search my ID, which is simmerkhai. And if you're unsure of how you spell it, it is the same as my YouTube username that you see down there. But do let me know what you guys think in the comments of this build, if you like it or not, because I really enjoyed building this build, especially because I had a lot of fun with the landscaping. And I think I will be showing the landscaping for this build only by 50% of the whole landscaping, because even though I had a lot of fun landscaping it, the landscaping took me the most time when I built this house. And you can also see that I use these debug fences that are from the base game, if I'm not mistaken. And I ended up adding this rock fence to cover the bottom to make it look more nicer, because I thought that the fences swatch, it's kind of plain because it is kind of only two colors in it. So I ended up adding that rock fence to cover the bottom part, and also I replaced the fence, but I added in the bushes type of fences to make it more nicer. It is a floral Victorian home anyway, so I decided to make it really green on the outside. And you can pretty much see that I used those fringes from the Vampires pack, which I really love. And I've ended up placing a small fence around the porch, and the porch area for this build is quite big because there is plenty of porch space. But in terms of decorating the porch space, I didn't really know how to decorate the porch space. So in the end, for the front part of the build where the porch is, I ended up adding a couple of benches and rocking chairs. But for the back, I think I ended up adding a chess table and also an outdoor dining table. And it's where your Sims just can hang out and just enjoy the view. But anyways, you can see that I started off with landscaping already, and the landscaping, like I said, took the most time for this build, I think, because it is quite a large lot for me to landscape on, and I had a lot of fun landscaping it that I got carried away. And I think it is the first time that I really enjoyed landscaping for this build, because there are a lot of flowers that are from the debug menu, and also just in general there are a lot of colorful ones, and I really tried to landscape it really nicely and added in a fountain in front, I think, and also used a lot of items from the, I think it's romantic garden stuff pack or backyard stuff pack. I think it's romantic garden, but the romantic garden I decided to use for this build a lot of those items because it's romantic, first of all, and second of all, it is really nice because it makes the build look more magical and a bit like antique or old, because a Victorian, I think, is quite a like antique concept. But anyways, over here is going to be the outdoor like plantation area, and I ended up adding a fountain from the romantic garden stuff pack, which is the fountain with the flowers that are overgrown on it, and I really like the outcome. But for the backyard of this build, there is plenty of landscaping, like I said, and also a lot of those square tiles that came with the debug menu of the base game, because I kind of wanted to do this pathway that leads the back porch to the outside of the backyard. So I decided to use those square tiles, and I think they are accessible. There are two types of square tiles in the debug menu. One is the concrete type and one is the slate type. The concrete one doesn't work because I don't know why, because I tested it and it doesn't work, so I decided to use the slate type. We are working on the interior right now, and you can see that I already decorated the wallpaper. The wallpaper is already filled up, and also the flooring of the build. And in Pinterest, I saw a lot of Victorian homes have these orange type of floorings, orange brown wooden flooring, so I decided to include that in this build. But for the wallpaper of this build, it is quite consistent because I ended up using the same swatch, the same type of wallpaper, which is from the vampires pack, and also the base game, I think, which is the peach ones you saw just now for the main hallway. And for the vampires pack wallpaper, I ended up using them in bedrooms and also this kitchen, and just not the common areas for this build. And for the kitchen, I decided to go with this green color scheme because I think it looks very nice and very lavish, and I think like having a green kitchen is quite uncommon, especially here, because it's, I don't know, the green colored kitchen looks weird in this country, I think. But I think a lot of like European countries or Western countries have green kitchens, and I think I saw Dakota Johnson's house where her kitchen is green, and I kind of got inspired by that also because it looks really nice in a green color, and I didn't expect that it looks nice for a kitchen to have green color scheme. But for the tiling, I couldn't decide on whether to use the Parenthood pack tiling or simply these ones, but I thought these white tiling, the brick ones, look totally better than the Parenthood ones because it looks quite modern, and I think it contrasts the Victorian wallpaper, so I decided to put in a couple of modern elements in this build as well. And also use this shelf from the base game. I think it came from an update, a Spanish theme update. Not sure what you call it, but it is one of those ones. And I think the skull on it makes it really look nice because Victorian homes are can also be like very different in a way. There are a lot of like different patterns that are involved in the items and also the furniture, so I decided to include the skull shelf in there and just clutter it up with kitchen essentials such as those chili jars and also peppers and spices. And I really like the kitchen of this build because it is quite a huge kitchen and it is connected to the main entrance and also the dining room of the build, which is the red part you see just now. I'm not sure if you saw it, but it is, you can see it just now. But I also used these, I think this fridge is from the Realm of Magic pack because it looks very nice and very emerald, and it looks very vintage as well. And I decided to include a dishwasher in this build and to match it using the white color swatch. And I also used the snowy escape stuff for this one. And I decided to heavily decorate the interior as well because I figured that a lot of Victorians' home have these framed pictures on the walls. And so in this build, I decided to include a lot of those frames, like framed pictures, like other than like posters. I also included a lot of framed pictures, for example, from the paranormal pack, and also a lot of other ones, but I'm not entirely sure like what other packs I use. But the main packs that I use for this build are definitely vampires and also Strangerville, and also a bit of paranormal and parenthood, if I'm not mistaken. But you can always refer to the gallery upload that I upload this house, and you can see the details on there if you want to. Oh, and I also definitely use cats and dogs in this one because I wanted to include the couch, the triangle couch that you put on the window of like a different shaped window. So I decided to use that couch for this build also, and plenty of Realm of Magic too because I like I think it looks kind of like Victorian also a bit, not so much but a bit. But I also ended up adding a lot of long carpets in this build because I figured that it must look very vintage and also looks kind of classic. So I decided to do that. And then for the color scheme of the dining room, you can see that I used this red and black color wallpaper and matched it with the carpet that came with Get Famous, I think, which is kind of like worn out, and I really like that vibe because it looks antique and vintage, so I decided to include it in this build. And for this couch, the triangle couch from the cats and dogs, I ended up adding a couple of small pillows, quote unquote pillows, that I used by using the chairs from base game, I think, and sizing it down by one size and also raising it up a little just to make it visible on the couch. And I also ended up adding a jukebox in here because I figured that the jukebox from the Get Famous pack would add a vintage element to it, since the jukebox itself looks very vintage and also very old in a way. And for the bar, I also ended up adding a globe bar, which I think came from the luxury party stuff pack, either that or base game, I can't remember entirely. But you can see that I also ended up adding this I think spatula collection that came with dine out or cool kitchen stuff, and I raised it up a little just to make it look like it's attached to the sink. And I got this idea from someone, I'm not sure who, but it's someone from the Sims community. But if you know who it is, please do let me know in the comments because I forgot their username and also their Instagram page. And you can see that I also ended up adding a lot of those frames over there because it really looks Victorian. And I use a lot of vampire frames and also I think Get Together, not sure. But yeah, and I really like the interior of this build because I think it is my first time like properly like furnishing it with a lot of elements and also hanging plants to make it look more vintage and like kind of bohemian. So I really hope you guys will like this build. If you do like it, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you haven't, if you want to, because I usually do speed builds, but I think I might want to add in like a variety of types of videos that are like related to The Sims. But I'm not sure what I should do yet. So if you have any suggestions that you have in mind, please do let me know in the comments if you think it will be a good like game, like not game changer, if you think it will be a good type of variety for this channel if you want to. And I also added in this fireplace for this living room, which is blue in color. And I've never done like blue color living rooms. I think in my whole life I've never done a blue themed color living room, so I decided to do that for this one. And to contrast the blue color, I also added in white chairs or white living room chairs, and you can see that I used those living room chairs from the Vampires pack, but I think I will end up like changing it to the paranormal stuff pack couches, because to me it kind of looks more cozy and family oriented. Plus it's also boho, because I don't think, like, realistically speaking, I don't think a lot of Victorian homes nowadays have Victorian chairs. I might be wrong though, but I'm not sure, because I wanted to add in a cozy element in this build as well. So I decided to use the paranormal couches instead of these Victorian ones that came with the Vampires pack, because I figured that these couches that came with the Vampires pack look too like grand or too lavish in a way. So I decided to change it to the paranormal stuff pack couches, which are kind of cute because of all the patterns on it. And yeah, I think it looks pretty great. And also ended up adding a big portrait which came with the city living or get together pack, to make it look more Victorian plus a little bit of cozy and also a little bit of modern, all three in one package. But anyways, you can see that I also added in a piano in this build, because I figured that I didn't actually know what to build, to furnish for this part of the build, which is the staircase area. And next to the staircase area is going to be a half toilet, and I didn't know what to put in, so I included a piano in here to make it look more nicer, I guess. Over here is going to be the half toilet, and for the curtains of the build, I basically used the Vampires one because they are Victorian and also just looks very different and suits this floral Victorian home. And for the landscaping, I think I mentioned this, but I didn't show fully the landscaping, but I did end up adding a lot of landscaping items for the front and the back. And we are starting off with this, we have started furnishing the top floor of the build. And basically this house only has 2 floors and I think 3 to 4 bedrooms. And yeah, I think the top floor is quite nice also because it's kind of simple as well, but at the same time it looks quite antique in a way. And for this hallway over here, I decided to clutter it up with a couple of like clutterables here and there, and I added in a side table in the middle to make it look more nicer, because I don't know what vibe you called it, but it is kind of this vibe where you see in like movies where the specific room is filled with a lot of plants, and in the middle of the rooms there are like different like things in there. Not sure if you guys know what I'm referring to, but I like that kind of vibe, so I decided to try to incorporate it in this build. And there are plenty of hallways in this build. So basically for the hallways, I kind of decorated it the same way as the others, to make it look more consistent and also just simple. And I think this is my first time also using the Realm of Magic items, like those frames you saw just now, which are the chemistry ones, and also I think the other one is a dragonflower or something. But over here is going to be the master bedroom of the build, but the master bedroom doesn't have an ensuite. And you see that I'm doing this kind of this ottoman sitting area over here, whereby I used counters from the base game, I think, and then put in an ottoman in there. And to do this, I used the bb.moveobjects sheet to ensure that I could lift it up and make it look like it's a sitting area. And for the sitting area, I also included in a tray from the Eco Lifestyle pack, and also just some clutter because I wanted to make it look more lived in. And I also wanted to add in a built-in wardrobe from the, I think, City Living or Get Together, but I didn't end up doing so because in my head I was like picturing this very vintage vibe, and also there are like very little modern elements to it. But for this part over here, you see that I put those log items, which I think it looks nice because it contrasts with the other wooden color swatch from the side table. So I decided to include it in here, and I think it is my first time using those log decorations, and I think it looks pretty good for this bedroom, and it's just really nice. But for the family of Sims that I picture living here, there are basically a couple of parents, twin girls or twin children, a teenage boy, and also a teenage girl. So you will see that I will be decorating it according to the people that I mentioned in for this build. But over here is going to be the twin bedroom, the twin kids bedroom, and it is quite like bright because I use these lavender color wallpaper from the vampires pack, and I decided to include a lot of pinks and like purples in here because I figured that they are girls, twin girls, and one of them is very decorative and the other one is just a like minimalist, I think you would call it. And I also included a cats and dogs triangle couch in here to make it look more cozy and just really nice for a bedroom for a couple of kids. And I cluttered it up with a lot of knitting stuff, and also some toys, and just make it look very, very cute. But if you like the children's bedroom, please let me know because I myself am not a fan of children's bedrooms, and whenever it comes to decorating the children's bedrooms, I usually just like don't know what to include in it because I don't know. I just cannot picture what a children's bedroom is like. But this bedroom is going to be the teenage boy's bedroom, and for the color scheme I went with a like pale green and also contrasted it with brown or dark brown or black, the colors in that range. And I figured that this teenage boy is into gaming and music, so I included a couple of posters from the city living and also included a gaming computer in this one, but I'm not sure if it's called a gaming computer in the build by menu, but basically it is the computer that has the CPU or the graphics card, all of that in this green lighted box. And also ended up adding a gaming corner, and I figured that the teenage boy loves to play games like every other teenage boy does. I'm sorry, I'm being stereotypical, but anyways, this room is going to be the teenage daughter's bedroom, and I chose purple for the color scheme of her bedroom because I figured that she is a creative person, and I never used purple color scheme before for any bedroom, so I decided to try it here, and I really like the outcome because it kind of looks different, and it's different from what I usually do for the children's bedroom. And I decorated it with a lot of clutter, can't even say clutter right, and I decorated it with a lot of clutter from the hanging pots of nifty knitting, and also included a tarot hand. Not sure if you call it a tarot hand, but it's the hand that came with the paranormal pack. And for the carpet, I didn't know what to put in, so I decided to just go consistent with the color scheme of the build because I figured that it should be better that way. And I also ended up including an organ over here because I figured that there is some activity, at least some activity for the kids to do, because it's kind of a basic house in my opinion. So I decided to add in activities, like things to do for the kids. So I decided to put in an organ in there, and also just an art easel as well. And also I forgot to mention that for the teenage daughter, I figured that she is a creative person and also she likes to paint, so I included an art easel in this build. I think 2 art easels in this build. One is in the bedroom and one is on the porch, so I figured that the teenage daughter can use them. But anyways, you can see that I'm starting to decorate the back part of the house, which is going to be the last part of the house. So I really hope you guys will like this build. If you do like it, please don't be shy. Please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you haven't. And I hope you will like the rest of my builds on this channel. And if you have any suggestions, please let me know in the comments. That would be great. And yeah, I really hope you guys like this build, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!